Hello everybody, this is David. I am coming back and doing a quick video because there's been a lot of changes going on dealing with Il2 and the HP Reverb G2. Um, and I'm going to go through some of the settings I've done that have basically set my system up to where I'm getting solid frames, 90 frames per second, as I'm flying in VR. I just, after doing the test, I ran a 38 kill streak on the Finnish server, um, and I noticed a massive difference when it came to spotting aircraft and stuff. So let's get into this. It does deal with the HP reverb, but it's focusing more on this game in general. So if you do play IL2, this will be very helpful. So we're going to go into the settings. We're going to look at the graphics, what I've done here. You can take a quick screenshot of that if you want to. The main things to look at is I've turned off HDR and SSAO. These two, and the VSync is also turned off because we're in VR. And I'll explain that in a minute. These items right here, when you do turn them off, it does dull the brightness in the game, so the sun's not going to burn your eyeballs out as hard when you're looking up and trying to see. And in addition, though, you'll have to be using the gamma a little more liberally. On a bright day, I was just leaving the Finnish server on a clean, no cloud day. I had to go to a 0.9, and that was all I needed. If I went any lower, it was just too difficult to see anything. And on a normal cloud day, I'm running about 1.1 to 1.2, just so I can see down. This is another big one, distance landscape detail, especially in VR. So you're at 3,000 meters, you're looking down. What this does is creates a 2K bubble around your aircraft where the ground detail is perfectly drawn in. And everything outside of that area, if you're looking 2K to your right, 2K to your left, anything beyond that peripheral will then just be drawn in more cartoonish. But it does not draw out or anti-alias out the dots that represent the aircraft in the distance, because planes at 5K, if you play this game, you'll know that they only show up as a dot in most cases, unless it's a large bomber, a Stuka, P-38, something that's going to have a very large, dot. You can kind of pick it out a little bit further when you zoom in. But in general, that's an issue. Now, down on the ground, when you got red buildings and trees and all kinds of stuff down there, the computer anti-aliasing does not understand that that dot moving around, even though the computer game is telling it, should not be scrubbed. So it's just getting cleaned out in the periphery and creating this magical bubble around you. So turn it down, and if it doesn't work there, you can even go down to normal, and that is a little more cartoonish, but it does well. But I find 2 times is perfect. Everything else in here, again, perfect. I don't have any issues there. The target frames per second, again, you could put it at 1,000 if you wanted to. It does not make a difference because we have it turned off. So there's no. Actually, this is a new setting. I don't know when they did this. I haven't tried it. I'll get back to you guys on that. I have not even seen that in there, but it doesn't matter on the VR because the VR controls it as far as we know. So I'm gonna get out of this. And then I want to show you the graphic settings in the Nvidia. So I'm going into my Nvidia control panel. I'll pull that up real quick. I might already have it open, that's why. Okay. Alright, so we're using the Manage 3D setting here. You should have already selected your il2.exe to run this when you do it. And here are my settings. I'll go pretty slow, but anisotropic filtering is allowed, FXAA on, gamma correction on, application controlled on the anti-aliasing mode, anti-aliasing transparency. I set it to multi-sample. Play with yours. One thing I wanted to point out was my system. If you go in to, you can see here I'm running an RTX 3080 Ti. I'm currently running the driver 511.79, and then I'm running a Ryzen 9 3900X 12 core. I have 31 gigs of RAM, It's actually 32, 30 when they round it. It's like, and my monitor gives you what it's going on. It's actually a 140K refresh rate, but I don't run it on that when you're in the game. One of the things I've noticed, if you turn off the monitors when you're flying in VR, the frame rates do go up. I'm assuming just logically that is true because you're not running those monitors, aren't pulling off the GPU, even if it's just putting a background up. That is processing. So turning it off eliminates the process. It should logically anyway. Power management. Okay, MFAA. I want to go over that real quick just because I didn't touch on it in the game. That is the older coding, according to everything I've done on the research. The FXAA is the newer code, and it works better with the DirectX applications, where MFAA, yeah, I don't think it matters on flat screens, but definitely on the VR, you tank your frame rates, and when you tank your frame rates, you're missing out. So max performance. I have this anisotropic sample off, and then allow on the LOD bias, high quality, trilinear optimization on, threaded optimization on. I don't even think I need that. Yeah, the trilinear runs the DirectX. Now here's the big one. If you're not running FXAA and you're like, I like MFAA, turn this one off because that'll cause everything to go like sparkly and stuff in MFAA primarily. And if you're seeing it even in the FXAA, that's your culprit to turn that off. It'll get rid of that weird distortional sparkle lines in the distance. Triple buffer off. That's an old. We don't use that anymore. We don't use OpenGL. Vertical sync is off. I've already spoken about that before, and it's still true. Pre-render frames, you can play with those, but again, it's better on the offline game version. These computers are pretty fast. You can probably turn them on. I'm using it at 1 because it does cause. Think of ping. Your ping is increased. Think of it that way. It's just the easiest way to explain it. You're increasing. You're seeing everything perfectly smooth, but in reality, you're kind of warpy in the game more than likely, and things happen like out of sync with everyone else. So it's not good. Anyway, so that's all the settings there. Hopefully you have that. Don't mess with your global settings. Definitely do not do this in your global settings because it's not what I'm telling you here. It doesn't apply to everything else. This is just when you're in the game. Alright. And then you should be using, before we talked about this, you should be using your OpenXR tools. And again, those are already set up 100%. This is developer settings. We don't mess with that. You can see it's, of course, I don't have my VR goggles on because I'm recording this all right now. But yeah, definitely this is what's running everything in. And when you go into your Steam settings, like I've shown before, and I'll do it real quick because if you're new to this video, you'll need to know about this. So you go into your settings in Steam, and when the game is up and running, it'll have an option panel here, and then you can go in and make changes. One of the options at the bottom, when you have it show advanced is on, you go into the advanced setting. It'll tell you if you're using the Steam application. It'll say restart under Steam. Then you're under it'll tell you what you're operating right above it, and you want to be the Microsoft system, not the Steam system. So that's a big one. Don't play with the settings in here other than just to make sure you're not using any of the enhancements in the Steam systems, because it doesn't apply to the HP Reverb G2. Those are more like your Oculus players. Those guys, they'd be doing those adjustments within the Steam application. Now, the other settings I gave should help a lot of the other headsets out there, but because I haven't personally tested them, I'm not going to vouch for that, but it is a starting point for you to personally test it and see what you think. And then if you come up with some good stuff for like the Oculus or other headsets, post it in the comments to help other people. Because, if you fly and you're using VR, it's a community and we want to help each other, so we're all having fun. If you know of anything or something I've said that you're like, hey, that didn't make sense, or could you clarify or whatever, post that in the comments. And if you have information that'll help me too, post that in the comments, because I would love to hear about it. I only have so much time in the day to sit around and test these things, and I could spend 8 hours running through all the different settings and different combinations of settings and seeing how they work, and that's what I've done. That's just the way I am, and so if you do the same thing, that would be great, and help the community. You save us a lot of headache and time, and help everyone else. So, hope to hear from you, and you guys have a good one.